Hello, 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 and welcome back to Spin Cycle Live. I'm your host, Nathan Hale. Boy, do we have a lot to cover today. Number one, over at the top, I want to let you know we are in the Spin Cycle summer now, and we will be posting a new show on Fridays. So every week for the foreseeable future until probably early August, we will be doing a show Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and starting May 26th, those shows are going to be moving to 6 p.m. Eastern time. So that's along the banner at the bottom there. So for the rest of the week, we will have a show today, Wednesday, Friday. Those will come out the normal 5 p.m. spot. But starting next week, next Monday, we will be moving that to 6 p.m. Eastern time for you all. Reruns will still happen Tuesday, Thursday, and now Saturday. Those will still come out at 8 p.m. So we will have a show coming out every single day except for Sunday. 3 new, 3 reruns, total of 6. So be looking out for that. I will announce that again at the end of the episode, so don't forget it. But let's get right into our first story of the week, and it's by far the biggest one that we've had in a while. So Joe Biden is back in the news today. So this comes from The Independent. Joe Biden diagnosed with aggressive form of prostate cancer. Former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. His office has announced. A spokesperson for the ex-commander-in-chief said on Sunday that the diagnosis was made on Friday after doctors found a small node on Biden's prostate, which needed further evaluation. So you can go read the full article for yourself. Link is in the description of this video. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, it's down there. Otherwise, I'm sure that you can find an article wherever else on whatever news site you'd like to see. I'm not going to read all of it because there's lots of details in there that, frankly, we don't need to go over. So we're at the bat. Our thoughts and prayers, of course, are with the Biden family. We should put aside political partisanship for a moment and say, hey, it's never fun for anyone or any family to be put through the trauma of having one of their family members have cancer, any sort of illness for that matter. And it's especially considering what the Biden family has gone through in the past decade or so. So right off the bat, all of that, put that aside. What I do want to bring up, though, is that suddenly the entire Democratic apparatus is now obsessed with Joe Biden's health all of a sudden, right? There was nobody who had anything to do with his health on the left for the past 4 years now, right? I've had concerns about Joe Biden's health since he ran in 2020, right? And I think a lot of people really started to see it kind of mid 2024. So 4 years later when he was running for re-election. But I think we all know, any reasonable person knows that his health was not all there when he was even running in 2020. So I just like to point that out, that there's a sudden obsession with the man's health that was non-existent over the past 4 years. And on the other hand, we have someone like Donald Trump, who has been shown to be in excellent health, excellent condition for the past almost 10 years now, right? That he's been in the public spotlight. And nobody seems to be giving the same amount of attention to Joe Biden. So President's health should be one of our top priorities. He's the commander-in-chief after all. And I hope that this same amount of scrutiny is provided to Donald Trump as he starts to get older. But like I said, where were all these people, 1, 2, 3 years ago scrutinizing Joe Biden's health? And are we to believe that he went 4 years without having any sort of prostate screening done as the president, as an older man in office? That's all I got to say about that. So I hope that this is not the end of Joe Biden. I hope this is not how he goes out. But it's a sad day for the Biden family. And I hope that he recovers from this. And this is not the way that he meets his demise by any means. But I think there is a conversation that needs to be had about president's health going forward, and a realization that many of us were ignoring the signs from Joe Biden for years. So I got to say about that. All right. So let's move on to a story from the AP. So Trump's new pardon attorney says he will scrutinize pardons that Biden issued at the end of his term. So even though even though we are still having, the Biden family's having the struggles, we're not stopping, right? We can't do that. We have to put all that aside when he's dealing with his personal life and realize there were several things that he did under his presidency that were not good and deserve to be investigated. So Ed Martin Jr., who will be the Justice Department's new pardon attorney after President Donald Trump pulled his nomination to be the top federal prosecutor for Washington, said on Tuesday that he plans to scrutinize pardons that former President Joe Biden issued on his way out of the White House. Quote, "These are big moments, and they have to be able to withstand scrutiny," Martin told reporters on Tuesday, his last full day as acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Biden pardoned his siblings and their spouses in January on his last day in office. He also pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, and members of the House committee that investigated the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. None of them had been charged with any crime. The pardons were designed to guard against possible retribution by President Donald Trump. I'm glad that the White House and the Justice Department are taking measures to go after these pardons because, like we were just saying just a moment ago, President Joe Biden's health has been under scrutiny for quite a while. And it's very clear these pardons were signed by a computer, not by him himself. So does the pardon still withstand the legal threshold of being in place if the president actually didn't sign it, right? How are we to know if that was actually the wish of President Joe Biden or not, right? We can probably assume that that was something that he would want done. I mean, if I was the president, I would want all my kids to be pardoned for any future crimes they had. I think we covered it on the show when that all happened. But it doesn't matter if I'm the president, that's what I want to happen. What I think matters is if he actually signed it or not. And if he didn't actually sign it, then it shouldn't be able to uphold anything, right? If someone else in the White House did it, it opens up a big legal precedent as to say, hey, if I'm just an assistant in the White House, could I just sign things under the name of the president that, he doesn't review first and that is legal or not? So I think this is great that they're investing in this, they're going after it. I hope they find these pardons not to be valid, because I would love to see people like Anthony Fauci prosecuted for his crimes against humanity. That's all I gotta say about that. Moving right along, it's a story from the Washington Examiner, has to do with a California judge. So California judge requires parental notification for elementary school gender lesson. So we just covered a story from California. It might have been last week or the week before that was talking about how they turned down a bill that would make, sex trafficking people between the ages of 16 and 18 not a felony, right? They had the opportunity to make it a felony and they decided not to. So now we have a judge saying that a parental notification for elementary school gender lesson. We have gender lessons apparently in California schools. So a California federal judge issued a preliminary injunction requiring parental notification opt-outs for gender identity topics in an elementary school's buddy program, pairing older elementary students with younger mentees, citing concerns from the program's controversial lesson in which fifth graders were enlisted to teach kindergartners about gender identity. At issue is a specific buddy session in which teachers, I'm sorry, I can't get through the laughing. It's so ridiculous. In which teachers selected and read the gender book, quote, "My Shadow is Pink," which the ruling says, quote, is about a boy who likes to wear dresses and play with toys associated with girls. The session took place at an elementary school in the and in some school district in California. I can't pronounce them. I'm not going to try. Typically, students select the books to be read, and parents receive weekly notices on which books will be read next. This time, there is no such notice. I wonder why there was no such notice, right? Before the buddy session, one staff member allegedly said to another, quote, "We might just inspire some sweet things to fly towards their shadow tomorrow," suggesting the lesson had a desired outcome, the plaintiff's complaint said. Teachers read the book to the fifth grade students in preparation for the buddy program. The fifth graders were then joined by their kindergarten buddies who were sat next to their assigned mentors. The teacher showed a read-along video of the book in which the boy's father, quote, comes to accept his son's pink shadow not as a phase, but as reflecting the boy's innermost self. The fifth graders and kindergartners were then instructed to participate in an art activity in which teachers told the kindergartners to, quote, pick a color that represents you, and then had the fifth graders trace their respective buddy's shadow on the ground with their choice of colored chalk. The fifth grader plaintiffs were, quote, uncomfortable in the buddy class assignment, which they felt was contrary to their personal beliefs and, quote, did not wish to affirm the book's message to their buddies. Wow. The fifth graders' parents, it keeps going. The fifth graders' parents were shocked by the news as the school had provided 2 weeks' notice for the Human Growth and Development Unit on gender identity and were allowed to opt out of the program, but received no such notice or opt out for the buddy program's gender lesson. The school then denied the parents' requests for notice and opt-outs for similar lessons in the future. I wonder why. The ruling noted that the school's admission that the buddy program is a mandatory part of the curriculum, which violates the First Amendment for compelling individuals to mouth support for views they find objectionable. Where do I even begin? Number one, if any state in the country was going to do something like this, you know it's California, right? There is no way that I would ever choose to live in California for any reason. There's no way I would do it, let alone raise a child in California schools for that matter. On top of that, who in their right mind would have the thought that fifth graders, any fifth grader for that matter, has any sort of authority to discuss anything that has to do with gender to a first grader, right? Number one, fifth graders should not be learning about stuff like this. They're fifth grade. But who would think that a fifth grader could reasonably discuss the roles of gender to a first grader, right? I don't even know how an adult could conversate those topics to a first grader, let alone someone in fifth grade. How old are you in fifth grade? What, like 10, right? Like 10 or 11, you're in fifth grade? My God. And on top of that, the school knew exactly what it was doing too. They knew that parents were not going to like this. That's why they did not inform the parents that this was going to happen. They informed the parents of every other lesson that was being taught in this whole buddy system program, all the other books being read, except for this one. Why is that? Right? They knew that this one was going to be controversial. They knew that parents were going to like it. And they said, you know what? We're not going to give parents a choice. We're going to force gender ideology down their kids' throats. And they're just going to have to accept it. Because once it's done, right? You can't unclose that can of worms, right? It's open now. It's over and done with. There's nothing you can do about that point. So this is ridiculous. I hope that the school district has the pantsuit off them and gets sent back to the Stone Age where they belong. But my God, just so much. My Shadow is Pink. That's the book that was read. What does that even mean, right? That's the whole thing with gender ideology. It teaches us that, the things that we feel on our insides, the way that we personally feel, that's the way that we should be accepted. And you know what? If my fifth grader feels like he's a girl, then he should be a she, right? We should just go and chop his body parts off and shoot him with drugs. That's the way we should behave in the society. My God. These teachers should be fired. The school should be sued. Hope these parents get retribution. All right. Another thing about a judge. All right. Judge slapped with charges for helping illegals evade feds. So we went from a judge who put an injunction, which was good, to a judge that is trying to get illegals to remain in the United States. All right. And this is another judge, by the way. We had a judge before. We're on to another judge now, I believe. So this is the second judge. All right. A federal grand jury indicted a Wisconsin judge on Tuesday for allegedly aiding an illegal immigrant in an attempt to avoid law enforcement. Authorities arrested Judge Hannah Dugan of the Milwaukee County Circuit Court last month after officials say she tried to help an illegal immigrant evade immigration authorities. Dugan's indictment charged her with concealing a person from arrest and obstructing the proceedings. Quote, Judge Hannah C. Dugan has committed herself to the rule of law and the principles of due process for her entire career as a lawmaker and a judge, her lawyer said in a statement, according to the New York Times. Quote, Judge Dugan asserts her innocence and looks forward to being vindicated in court. Dugan's legal term is expected to enter a plea on Thursday, according to the New York Post. The Washington Supreme Court has suspended Dugan from the bench while her case progresses. Dugan allegedly aided Mexican national Eduardo Flores Ruiz in his attempt to evade federal authorities. Law enforcement officers gathered in a hallway outside Dugan's courtroom last month, waiting for Flores to exit. Dugan confronted the officials while she was, quote, visibly upset and had a confrontational, angry demeanor, according to the criminal complaint. The judge then led Flores out of a different exit from her courtroom instead of the public exit in an attempt to evade law enforcement. Quote, despite having been advised by the administrative warrant for the arrest of Flores, Judge Dugan then escorted Flores and his counsel out of the courtroom through the jury door, which leads to a non-public area of the courthouse, the indictment says. The Trump administration has defended Dugan's arrest as an example of an equal standard of law for all. Quote, shame on her, Attorney General Pam Bondi said last month. It was a domestic violence case of all cases, and she was protecting a criminal defendant over victims of crime. Absolutely. This is awful. And the left will spin this to say, look at how Trump is trying to go after judges. Look how he's trying to imprison these judges. No. He's going after judges that, number one, let a criminal into an area that they shouldn't ever have been in the first place, and willingly helped a criminal get out of the hands of law enforcement where he rightfully belonged, right? Because this is a woke leftist activist judge who doesn't see people invading our home as breaking the law. Absolutely terrible. Get these judges off the bench. They should not be on there. This is ridiculous. So that's all I got to say about that. We'll be sure to update you when more information of the story becomes apparent. Maybe on Wednesday. We will see. All right, our last story of the week. Also another Daily Wire article. All right, Trump's won to key vote. Now, we talked about this, I believe, last week, how it didn't initially pass. The great thing is it is out of committee now, and it's moving ahead. Now, it doesn't have the budget cuts in it that I would like to see and many other fiscal conservatives would have liked, but it's better than what the Democrats could put forward. I'll give it that. All right, so in a second attempt late Sunday night, President Donald Trump's, quote, one big beautiful bill prevailed in a critical committee vote after House GOP leadership managed to placate a handful of Republican deficit hawks who held out in the first go-around. The House Budget Committee advanced the package in a 17-16 vote along party lines, while 4 conservative defectors from last time voted present. The bill is processing through Congress via the reconciliation process, aiming to provide funding for Trump's domestic priorities, retain the 2017 tax cuts, and raise the debt limit and more. Now, I'm not a fan of raising the debt limit, but you know what? You can't get everything in this world, so I would rather have a Trump spending bill get passed through and have the debt limit raised than have a huge fluffed or have a Republican bill get through Congress that has the raise of the debt ceiling, then have a Democrat bill get through that has a whole bunch of fluff and pork inside of it that just absolutely destroys our federal budget even more than before. So what I'm not hearing right now is is how Republicans are handling our current national debt. What I'm hearing right now is, hey, we're trying to cut back on current government spending, but we're not actually going to lower that money being spent. We're just going to cut programs, right? If we're raising the debt ceiling, if we're continuing to take more money out to fund our programs, have we really done anything? We might be taking out slightly less, but we're still adding into our debt. So we're getting our budget under control a little bit, but how are we going to pay off the trillions of dollars that we have under the national debt? And I've yet to hear of a plan to do that. It's possible that we're waiting until maybe next year to start having conversations about that, as to how we're going to start handling our enormous debt load right now. And we're just trying to get things stabilized, right? We have this gushing wound of money going everywhere, and we're trying to get that under control before we start to actually heal our budget as a whole. It's possible. I don't know. That's been a big criticism of mine of the administration, is they promised a lot of things, and they've come through with a lot of things for that record, but we haven't gotten a lot of knowledge as to how they're going to go forward with a lot of these like really big issues. So we'll just continue to sit on our hands, wait around, and we'll update you as things become apparent. But that's all I have for today's episode. Like I said, one last time, we will be producing another episode on Fridays. We'll also be moving our time slot to 6 p.m. from our current time at 5 p.m. That's going to be for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's going to start next Monday. So we'll have 2 more shows this week. We'll see you back here on Wednesday for that next show. And again on Friday at our normal time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And then starting May 26th, which is next Monday, a week from now, we'll be going to 6 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll also be continuing to do our re-uploads on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday for all of our episodes that came out that week. So if you missed an episode on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can rewatch it again the following night. Those will come out at 8 p.m. So with that, make sure you follow us on X, on Instagram, on TikTok. Subscribe to the show on YouTube and Rumble. It's the best place to watch the show at. Give me a follow on Twitter if you haven't followed me there yet. Give the show a follow on Twitter at SpinCycle Live, at Hobonatian, and interact with me there. I'm posting a lot on those platforms, so hit me up. Let me know how the show's doing. Let me know what you think of the show. And with that, we will see you back here on Wednesday for the next episode of SpinCycle Live. I hope you enjoyed the episode and have a great rest of your Monday. I've been Nathan Hale. This has been SpinCycle Live. Peace out.